So what happened was the government printed money. We had hyperinflation, not in consumer products, not in producer products. We had hyperinflation in financial assets. That hyperinflation meant that the stock market rallied, real estate rallied. If you owned a portfolio of real estate or portfolio of stock, you got rich. And the thought that I had, which is this investment manager sitting on his floaty at his house in the Hamptons is having the best year of his life, and I'm having the worst year of my life. He's not working at all. He's literally not working at all. He's watching television getting rich, taking high fives. And I'm watching all these people I care about wiped out, destroyed, jailed, bankrupted, fired, stripped of all hope. And then I have this $500 million asset. And so it was time to make a decision to choose a side.
As Bitcoin dipped below $100,000 yesterday, investors are watching closely, as the crypto market has seen multiple crashes in lieu of the recent geopolitical events. Today, Michael Saylor dives into the fast-paced world of Bitcoin's price move and shifting market trends, and why he's bullish in the second half of 2025. Saylor believes Bitcoin is about to break all records, as we stand on the edge of one of the most explosive price rises since the birth of the dominant cryptocurrency. With institutions across the United States now adding Bitcoin to their portfolio, the demand for the largest digital asset has skyrocketed and could open the floodgates to massive institutional buying, catching the attention of multiple sovereign wealth funds and industry giants, and even entire governments. Saylor sees this moment as a turning point, clearing the path for major companies to bring cryptocurrencies onto their balance sheets. Let's get right into the latest interview with Michael Saylor, as he predicts why Bitcoin is set to shake up the crypto landscape in 2025.
So I was there, and I thought, well, what can you buy? It's like, can I buy real estate? And the answer is, well, real estate just doubled in value over a few weeks because Jerome jacked the price of interest to zero. So that's not good. Can I buy a portfolio of stocks? They just went to an all-time high because we jacked the interest rate to zero. That's no good. Can I buy a portfolio of collectible art? Oh yeah, good luck with, like, how do I find $500 million of Picassos and Monets attractively priced? You're looking at a guy after 30 years in business and an engineering education, reasonably educated, but not a classically trained economist, not an Austrian economist. I am struggling with the time-honored question, what is money? Mm-hmm. I need a liquid, fungible asset which will store my economic energy for an indefinite period of time. Mm-hmm. And so what is money? I'm looking for money. And eventually I get to gold. And I'm thinking, should I buy $500 million of gold? And, my attorney, he looks at me and goes, Mike, I remember when gold was $800 an ounce back in the 70s or the 80s, and then it went nowhere for 20 years, and you should be careful about that. And it might not, it's kind of dead money. So I'm watching us strip the world back to the Stone Age, right? A devolution. And I'm staring over my pool, and I look at Eric, and I say, Eric, tell me about that Bitcoin thing again. And Eric was a crypto entrepreneur, and he had been investing in digital assets in crypto. And I had dismissed him 2 years earlier in 2018. I was like, oh, that's probably just a scam coin. That's going to collapse. But, everybody finds this when if I tell you got 6 months to live, you would go looking for a cure. And if I told you every asset that you hold in Canada is going to be seized from you within 6 months,
that could happen.
You would think about how you're going to get your money out of Canada.
Yeah, we already thought about that.
And the point is, you didn't think about it for the 20 years of your career when it just wasn't the priority.
Yeah.
And then when you're faced with a crisis, a challenge, you start thinking. So I said, Eric, tell me about that Bitcoin thing again. Satoshi has to create a perfect monetary network, and you got to create it with imperfect components. The imperfect components are the people, the governments, the actors, the computers. They're going to fail. What happens if the power goes out? What happens if that gets hacked? The answer is, I create a machine that's running the protocol. This one's running the protocol. This one's running the protocol. They're all running at the same time. They're all hashing in order to guess the answer that's required to build the next block. One out of a million of these things will win. The entire thing is a fault-tolerant, shared nothing, mission-critical, nuclear-hardened system, because what is it? It's a virus, right? It's an internet virus, a monetary virus, an ideological virus, and everyone that chooses to run the node is feeding the network, participating in the network. All of the miners are defending the network. But once you understand it like that, then you realize that what's going on with Bitcoin is a bunch of people with the same ideology. We just all like to keep our money. Running a protocol, have instantiated that protocol in software that runs on mobile phones, that runs on computers.
We should also say, it's not exactly that you want to keep your money. It's you want to keep the fruits of your labor, and you want to keep your reputation, and you want to do that over the longest amount of time possible with the least amount of parasitism and corruption manageable. And so, because when you say you want to keep your money, it's got that kind of evil capitalist ring to it. But if you spent your entire lifetime building up a storehouse of value, and you did that in a way that also brought prosperity to other people, it's only natural justice of the sort that keeps hardworking people working and everything abundant, in order to not allow people like that to be parasitized and taken out.
Confidently predict that explosive growth is looming on the horizon, as BlackRock and many other crypto giants are doing just that. Saylor reassure that a long-expected surge awaits. By the end of 2025, there will be 1.1 billion active crypto wallets. The pace of growth is hard to comprehend, and it will be the fastest accumulation of wealth we have ever seen. This is the conclusion of a career's worth of research. And every single chart and piece of research leads to the same conclusion. Liquidity drives everything, and crypto will be the best performing asset of them all.
The inflation was in the stocks. The inflation was in Amazon stock. And this is the most anti-fragile, indestructible thing in the world. Bitcoin is an ideology that is manifested as a protocol that has materialized as a network across which an asset runs. So,
is the most real aspect of it the ideology?
Let me say, it's like, is quantum computing, if it hacks your email account, going to destroy the English language? You see, is quantum computing going to actually break base 10 math? Base 10 math is a protocol. If you have a computer program and it becomes insecure, you have to upgrade the program. But the reason that we use numbers 1 through 9 or 0 through 9 is because over the course of about 900 years, Western civilization realized that we could actually calculate things more efficiently with that protocol. There's base 2, there's base 16, right? Why do we have 12 months in the year? Why do we have 360 degrees? Because the Babylonians had other systems of math. We have a system of math. There's other languages. Why do we use English? Well, we all decided, the scientists, the economists, Western civilization, there's a lot of reasons why. We could trace it to geography of England and the English Channel and a bunch of stuff. We don't have time for that. It's a protocol. Bitcoin, it's a protocol. What kind of protocol? It's a monetary protocol. Why? What's it informed by? An ideology. What is the ideology? Sovereignty, truth, sound, thermodynamic soundness.
Why thermodynamic soundness?
Because 1 + 1 has to equal 2. And if 1 + 1 equals 3 some days, or 1.5 other days, you can't solve any problem. In engineering, in aeronautical engineering, there's a phrase called an adiabatic system. An adiabatic system means a closed system. And so whenever you're building anything, the problem always starts with, assume an adiabatic system.
Right.
If I introduce this heat source, if I fly through, what they're saying is, assuming it's a closed energy system, there's no external factor, right? Assuming an adiabatic system, how long will our podcast go? About 2.5 hours. If Godzilla steps on your studio in the next 30 seconds, the podcast will go shorter because of new energy. So when Godzilla shows up to the playground, all bets are off. So if I have a bathtub or I have a swimming pool with a leak in it, you can't jump into the swimming pool without risking breaking your neck, right? If I have a leak in a fuselage of an airplane, we can't fly. Explosive decompression. You can, if you're an engineer and you're engineering airplanes or internal combustion engines or spaceships, you have to do the engineering properly, and that includes make it a closed system or a thermodynamically sound system. When it's not, there's leakage, right? There's either a friction cost or there's a leakage cost, and you have to account for the leakage in a replenishment if you want the machine to work. The machine will not work if you don't actually solve the problem. So when we come to this idea of the ideology of Bitcoin, Bitcoin's based upon engineering principles, scientific, mathematical soundness, consistency, integrity, truth, right? And those are all the principles.
And that's the incorruptibility of the ledger.
Those are the principles of libertarians and Austrian economists, right?
Yeah.
And those are also, that is someone that believes that we should be governed by natural law, right? So we go back to John Locke and we go back to natural rights and natural law, right? Nature governs, right? Whether nature gives you gravity. If you tip the glass there, it's falling to the floor. You don't get to break the rule. That is just the rule. You have to comport yourself accordingly. You can't wish it away, right? A lawyer would like to wish it. You'd like to, if the politicians could pass a law, they'd pass a law suspending gravity rights, for the time being in certain places. But you can't, as Elon Musk says, you don't get to break the laws of physics, right? So Bitcoin starts with this ideology of the engineers, the scientists, the mathematicians, right?
Saylor challenges the conventional macroeconomic metrics, asserting that these metrics are often manipulated to paint a specific narrative, like labor statistics and inflation figures, which are selectively measured to create desired effects rather than reflecting the true state of the economy. In this context, Bitcoin emerges as an alternative, detached from the manipulations of the conventional economic sphere. Saylor also highlights that established corporations like Apple, Amazon, and Google will use their established relationships acquired over decades to swiftly acquire substantial amounts of Bitcoin through a spot ETF, bypassing the cumbersome processes involved in procuring the actual commodity. This disparity underscores the transformative power of cryptocurrencies in traditional financial institutions. Michael Saylor underscores the importance of embracing digital currencies as the economic landscape is changing rapidly, and urges investors to leverage Bitcoin's potential to secure a more prosperous financial future. What do you think about the latest interview with Michael Saylor? And how do you think Bitcoin's trajectory in the coming months will impact the crypto market and the world of investing? Comment down below. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more content just like this. We'll see you in the next video.